Here we go.
Thought the Mishnah and the Daf should join for at least one day.
Yeah, you're gonna be way ahead of Mishnah Yomi with this one Amud. 7 Mishnahs in this one Amud.
Take the rest of it.
Here we go. Tractate Sanhedrin, all about courts and laws. The first Mishnah is very long, and most of the questions you're going to have are going to be answered in the next 2 weeks, as the Gemara explains in the Mishnah. So if you don't understand the terminology or it seems repetitive, just wait till we get to the Gemara, and it'll be clear.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, then you can send me a text. No. Okay. Dine mamanos b'shlosha. So the rule is when you're judging monetary cases, we'll see which kinds of cases. That takes 3 people. Gzelos v'chavalos, whether you rob or you injure somebody. So why is that different than monetary cases? The Gemara is going to ask. Dine mamanos should include all of those kinds of cases, right? Even stealing and even injuring. But that's going to be, the Gemara doesn't talk about it. So gzelos v'chavalos, whether you steal or you injure somebody, that's going to be also with 3 people. Nezek v'chatzi nezek, whether your ox, which is very wild, injures and you have to pay, or chatzi nezek. Sometimes we only pay half of the amount if the ox is not a wild ox, or tashlume kefil, when you steal you have to pay back double, or when you steal a sheep and you shecht it and you sell it, then you pay 4 and 5. It's all going to be discussed in the Gemara. Tashlume arba v'chamisha. So when you have to pay back 4 or 5, depending on the animal you stole, shechted and sold, that has to be done with 3 people. Ha'ones v'amafata, in the case ones is rape, amafata is seduction. Both those are parshas in the Torah. So if that comes to Bezdin, that also needs 3 people to judge the case. The motzi shemra is a person the morning after their wedding, they find out that their wife was not a virgin. So they come to Bezdin and they said, and they make that claim. So motzi shemra b'shlosha, that needs 3 people according to Rav Meir. The Chachamim omrim that motzi shemra, actually, when you come, literally the halacha of Lashon Hara, one of the halachas of Lashon Hara is motzi shemra. When motzi is you take out from your mouth bad about somebody else. So this person is coming to claim bad things about his wife. Now, if he's right, that means that really between marriage, the first stage of marriage and the second stage of marriage, she must have been with another man, because how come she is not a virgin? If that's true, that's called Ashes Ish. That's what they call, that means that she cheated. Nowadays we'll say she cheated on her husband with somebody else, and that will get a death penalty of 23. So Chachamim Omrim, since this can bring you to the death penalty, that's going to need 23 judges. And Rav Meir says it needs 3 judges. In this monetary case, there is a result. A result could come out of dinei nefashos, of a not monetary, but when your life's on the line, a capital punishment. Capital punishment. Okay, makos b'shlosha. Sometimes a person has to get makos, lashes. That's done in front of 3 people, meaning, yeah. Okay, well, that's going to be discussed also on Daf Yod. Mishum Rabbi Shmuel Amru, no, be'esrim b'shlosha. Rashi told us, wait till Daf Yod. He says that makos is going to need 23 people to judge and be there for the makos. Okay. Sometimes we have to add a leap year. We have to add a leap month. Ibra Chodesh, that takes 3 people. Ibra Shana, a leap year. So Ibra Shana, when Bezin is sitting and looking to see if this year, right, we need to make Pesach followed in the springtime, Chodesh Aviv. So when Bezin is looking to see, to calculate that investigation and to see if the year needs to be leaped, if there needs to be a leap year, Ibra Shana b'shlosha divrei Rav Meir, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel Omer. Interesting thing, which is also going to be explained in the Gemara. B'shlosha maschilin, you start with 3, and then you add 2 more. Ubechamisha nosin v'nosin. You go back and forth with 5. The gomer b'shiva, and then at the end you end up having 7. So, but however, im gomer b'shlosha mu'beres. If you conclude with 3, it's still going to be a good conclusion. It's still going to be a leap year once again. Why 3, 5, and 7? It's going to be in a Gemara. Okay. Smichas Zikanim. So Rashi says that Smichas Zikanim is when sometimes the Bezdin, the court, makes a mistake, the high court makes a mistake on an Aveira that they mistakenly judge something. And in certain cases, when you have a mistake in judgment, you have to bring a special cow. It's called a par helam davar. It's a par that helam davar that they for making a mistake, basically. On that cow, in general, you have to do smicha. You have to put your hands on the animal. Smicha. Like smicha nowadays is becoming a rabbi. Mm-hmm. So one time I saw someone ask their rabbi to put his hands on them. He wanted a picture because he wanted smicha. We don't do that nowadays, but smicha zekanim, Rashi says, is referring to the animal. I believe the Rambam says that smicha zekanim is actually referring to when you put your hands on your student and you give him the ability to become a rabbi to answer laws. That's smicha zekanim. So either it means the animal or it means your student. The arifas egla b'shlosha. So now we know if you find a dead corpse between two cities, so there's a whole procedure in the Torah called egla rufa. You bring a cow, you break its neck. So I believe this is the calculation to see how far it is from the city. All of those calculations to decide that it's an egla rufa. That takes 3 people. Divrei Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'chamisha. He holds it takes 5 people. Let's wait till the Gemara to see why. Okay. Hachalitza. We know this week's parsha talks about Yibum. We know something called chalitza when a lady's married to somebody and then her husband dies. So she now is connected in certain circumstances. If there's no children, she's connected, and it's not a relative of hers. She's connected to her husband's brother. Now they can either do Yibum or chalitza. Says the Mishnah, hachalitza, the separation of taking off of the shoe, spitting in the shoe. It's a very Kabbalistic part of the Torah. I don't think the Ramban talks about it. Why the shoe, you're stepping into the shoes, your neshama goes through. It's a whole very interesting Kabbalistic thing about chalitza and the shoe. The mi'unin, or mi'in, we know that a girl, her father can marry her off if she's at least 3 years old. If their father's not around, then her mother can marry her off, rabbinically, but she's allowed to opt out. When she opts out, it's called mi'un. It's a rabbinical divorce. That also needs 3 people. So it's a case where a girl, her mother, and her brothers marry her off, with some kind of consent, even from a young girl. So she can't leave that until she gets a get mian. It's a divorce document. It's a rabbinical divorce document. Why do you need 3? So that here Rashi says because we like to pattern our rabbinic laws after our biblical laws. Therefore, just like the biblical law requires 3, so to the rabbinic law it requires 3. Okay. We know that the 4th year there's certain fruits called netarevai, and then we know that in your Shemitah cycle of 7 years, years 1, 2, 4, and 5, you bring something called Meiser Sheni. You have to bring either your fruits, or if you have too many fruits, or you don't want to bring the fruits, you can redeem them onto a coin, and therefore and then bring it up to the Beis Hamikdash. So now netarevai u'Meiser Sheni. Let's say you don't know exactly how much the fruits cost. So you need the rabbis to go and evaluate it for you. That takes 3 people. Now, here we have something interesting, just for those grammar lovers. So, which is obviously all of us here. So, ein damav yaduin. So the question is, Rashi's gear says ein demehen yaduin. Demehen is plural, which means that it's going on Meiser Sheni and on netarevai. Both of these fruits that are not known how much they cost, both of them need 3 people. The gears of the Gemara, which usually goes with Rashi, here it veers off. It says, "Ein damav yaduin." It sounds like it's only going on Meiser Sheni. Only if Meiser Sheni you don't know how much it costs, that needs 3 people. But netarevai is different. What the difference is, that's later on. It's going to talk about. The commentators talk about why is netarevai different than Meiser Sheni. But either way, when you want to evaluate your fruits onto the coins, either both the 4th year fruits and the fruits that you have to bring up to Yerushalayim, either you don't know how much they cost, or netarevai in general to redeem needs 3 people. We have to know why, even if you do know how much they cost. But Meiser Sheni, everyone agrees that if you don't know how much it costs, that needs 3 people. Okay, hegdeshos. So you have something which you sanctified, and now you want to redeem it. So how much does it cost? Well, how much? You have a cow. You sanctified a cow. You want to redeem it onto a coin, onto money. How much does the cow cost? that needs 3 judges to evaluate it. Ha'arachin v'ha'metaltlin b'shlosha. Arachin and metaltlin. So once again, what are these 2 things? Rashi says, the Gemara doesn't tell us in Yadalam and Beis. Arachin, we know, is the part of the Torah where you evaluate certain property. You want to say, my value, I'm giving my value to the Beis HaMikdash. I'm giving Steve's value to the Beis HaMikdash. So it's going to cost you more money. So those things, you need 3 people. What is it? Not anymore. So I've caught up. So those things you need. You also need 3 people. You know how much the evaluation is, or not. We have to see, because Erichin is really, it's in the Torah how much each person value. Men have this value above age 20 to 60. So once again, what these 2 things are, the Gemara is going to explain. So anybody you know that does Mishnah Yomi, you're going to ask them that. They're going to have no idea what this means if they don't come to Daf Yomi. So they should at least come in 2 weeks from now. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Echad Mehen Kohen. Rabbi Yehuda says, Echad Mehen Kohen. One of the people has to be a Kohen, because Rashi says, it says in the Parsha, Ke'erkecha HaKohen. When you're evaluating the Parsha of Erechin, of the value of things, you need a Kohen there. So one of the 3 has to be a Kohen. Okay. Hakarkos, when you sanctified land, and now you want to redeem it, so now that's going to need a Tisha, 9 regulars, the Kohen, and 1 Kohen to be part of the evaluation. Now the Adam, cryptic statement, a person, you want to redeem yourself, it sounds like, is Kayotze Bahen. When you want to redeem yourself, you also need 10 people. So on that, Rash says that. The Gemara is going to ask, what does that mean? I sanctified myself, and then I'm going to redeem myself. Like, where do we have such a thing? Maybe a Nazir? I don't know. That we have to see in a few weeks from now. Okay. So, a lot of cliffhangers. Now, this is all 3 people. 3, 5, 7, 10, but that was it. One case is 23. Now, 23, capital punishment. Dinei nefashos be'esrim v'shlosha. That is 23 people. Why 23? We'll see in 10 lines from now. Dinei nefashos be'esrim v'shlosha. Okay, now that's one. Haroveya v'hanirba. So, forms of bestiality. Roveya is an animal that has relations with a woman. Haroveya, the animal, is the one that's coming upon the woman. Hanirba is in the passive. That's ubehema. That's that has relations with a man. So both of those things are also with 23, because those are capital punishment. Those are death penalty. Shinamar b'haraktas ha'isha. So the pasuk says in the Torah, by a lady who was with an animal, b'haraktas ha'isha v'esa behema. V'omer v'esa behema ta'arogu. And then it says, and the animal you will kill. So not only is the person getting judged by 23, the animal also, the animal who was involved, that also, I don't know if you bring the animal to court exactly, I don't know how it works, but the animal needs 23 people to judge it before it gets killed. Also, we kill the animal. Now, shor haniskal, cases of wild shores, so when it gets to level, so it has to get stoned. Shor haniskal is also with 23. How do I know? Shinamar hashor yisakel, the animal, the ox gets stoned. The gam bailav yumas, and also its owners die. Kimisas bailim, kach misas ashor. Just like the death of a people, of its owners, is going to be 23, so too kach misas ashor, so too the animal itself is also going to need 23 people to give it the status of a shor haniskal and then stone it. Speaking of animals that are wild and dangerous and deathly, Haz'ev, a wolf, a hari, and a lion, a dove, a bear, a nemer, a leopard, a bardalis. I don't know, like 5 interpretations of what a bardalis is. I don't know which one our school chose. I didn't have a chance to look it up. What? Bardalis. I don't know. There's like 5 interpretations. What, a polecat?
Polecat, whatever a polecat.
Whatever a polecat is. Okay. So to see later on, I think Rash is going to explain what a bardalis is later on.
Polecat is a skunk.
A skunk. So Rashi here says chayak tana, a small animal. Okay. I think a skunk is getting involved in. First of all, it's interesting. Why is a skunk deathly? I don't know, but maybe it is. But I think it's not so clear what exactly a bardalis is. It's another kind of deathly wild animal, maybe a skunk. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Kuttner. V'hanachash, and a snake. All of these are misasan be'esrim mishlosha. Their death penalties are 23. Okay, that's one opinion. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, probably what's better, you know what, we can relate to more. Kola kodem lahorgan zacha. Don't wait for 23. You see it, kill it right away. You see it, you're meritorious. Meaning you're, do that. Rabbi Akiva says, misasan be'esrim mishlosha. So, sounds to me like it's very repetitive of what he just said of the first opinion. First man said 23. Rabbi Eliezer said, just go kill it. You don't need 23. And then Rabbi Akiva says 23. I'm assuming the Gemara is going to ask that repetition. Okay. Now, down to Avodah Zarah. So, Avodah Zarah. You have most of a tribe that has committed Avodah Zarah. Ain dana lo as shevet. To judge that tribe, you need to have 71. We're now up to 71 judges. Ain dana, you do not judge. Lo as shevet. A tribe which most of the tribe has committed idol worship. Velo es hanavi sheker. Velo es navi sheker, a false prophet. There's a whole bunch of rules how you can be zocha, how you can merit to be a false prophet. So if you get to that merit, so you're going to need 71 judges to judge you and make you guilty. Velo es ha-kohen gadol. Velo es ha-kohen gadol ela al pi bezdin. And when you are judging the kohen gadol, I guess, why would you judge the kohen gadol if he made a mistake? I guess maybe anything he did wrong. What? Capital offense. Okay. And a kohen gadol who committed some kind of capital offense, that's going to be also shel shivin ve'echad, 71. Why 71? We're going to learn from Moshe Rabbeinu soon. Why 71? The ein motzin lemelchemes harishus. So you have a war, an optional war. What's an optional war? So Amalek is not an optional war. Yehoshua conquering Israel is not an optional war. That's called an obligatory war, a melchemes mitzvah. I think the Rambam defines if an enemy comes to attack you, that's also called a melchemes mitzvah. There are those, ask your local Orthodox rabbi, there are those that said, at least right after October 7th. I don't know about the follow-up decisions, but at least some, it was a big discussion in Israel, the halakha authorities, does this have an actual status of a melchemes mitzvah when Hamas came and attacked? Many said yes. And I don't know the topic well, but yeah. So that's kind of different laws. If it's a melchemes mitzvah versus a melchemes rishus, either way, you can't go out to a melchemes rishus unless you have ella al pi bezdin on the words of the bezdin of 71. You need 71 to decide such a decision. Okay. Ein mosifan ala ir ve'ala ha'azaros. You can't add borders to the city. Al ha'ir. Here, what's the city? The city means Yerushalayim. Doesn't mean any other city. It says how you want to add to Yerushalayim. Remember, Yerushalayim has sanctity to it. There are certain halachas that you only can do in Yerushalayim. Ma'aser Sheni has you brought to Yerushalayim. It can't be brought to Beersheba. It can't be brought to the Golan, to Tzfas, Yerushalayim. If you want to add on to Yerushalayim, so that's going to also require or al ha'azaros, or on the chambers. I don't know what's the word for azara. The areas that are closer to the Beis Hamikdash called the azara, the courtyards. If you want to expand that, that's also el al pi bezdin shel shivim ve'echad. That's going to need 71 people to expand. Okay. Ein osin sanhedrios l'shvatim. You don't make courts. So you have to put small courts, small meaning courts of 23 people in every city. Why? Because it says shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'kol sharecha. The Parsha Shoftim starts off. You must put shoftim v'shotrim, judges, police officers. Ones make the laws, shoftim make the laws, shotrim enforce the laws. Jared's probably both. So all of these people, you need to have 23 courts of 23 in each city. Who's going to decide that? Only a court of 71. El al pi bezdin shel shivim ve'echad. So yeah. So yeah. Ein oz and ir nidachas el al pi bezdin shel shivim ve'echad. We have most of a city has been swayed off the path and have committed idol worship. They get a status of ir hanidachas, and they all get wiped out. And I think there's more about it in Sanhedrin later on. So that's also only al pi bezdin shel shivim ve'echad. However, interesting halacha, it's a little bit like, I guess, tangential or parenthetical. Ein os ir nidachas v'svar v'lo shalosh. Aval osim achas or shtayim. Interesting. we don't wipe out a city that's on the border. If you're on the border of the enemies, right? So if you're on the border of Lebanon, Syria, so and that city, got influenced by who knows who. So we don't wipe them out because we need those the cities on the border, as we know from contemporary times, are very, very, very important. So you can't wipe out that city, even though biblically they got wiped out. It's very interesting. So, and also you don't make three of them. You only make one or two. Why do you only make one or two, not three? Oh, the Gemara Mefarish Taima. So the Gemara is going to explain. Okay, so Sanhedrin Gedola, Isa Shel Shivim Ve'echad. Okay, so like a little bit of a summary. The Great Sanhedrin is comprised of 71 people, and a small Sanhedrin is comprised of 23. So, in case you're wondering what our ultimate judicial system will look like, so that in your Shemona Esrei you could focus on the bracha that talks about getting our court back. All issues, if we had a Sanhedrin Gedola, could be solved through them. You don't have so many fights. You can go to them and guilty or innocent, and then that's that. So is 23 people. A small Sanhedrin, 23 people. Okay. What is the source of this? Arbitrary numbers over here. What's 71? Minayin ligdola shehi shel shem echad. How do I know? Shenemar, it says by Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe, the verse says, Hashem told Moshe, Esfali, gather for me 70 people, Miziknei Yisrael, 70 people of the elders of Israel. The Ziknei Ha'am, the elders can also mean the wisest, not only Zaken, the Gemara says, is Zeh Shekana Chachma. Zaken is the acronym of the one who acquired wisdom. So it doesn't only mean, it also means someone who's over 70 years old, but it often can refer to someone who's wise. So it says, get me 70 people. Now, yeah. So now, and then it says, so Moshe Rabbeinu should go stand there with them. So now, first opinion says, Moshe al Gabein, and Moshe was on top of them, so to speak. He was the head of them, but he was part of the decisions. That's 71 people. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shivim. Rabbi Yehuda says you actually only need 70. Now it's interesting we have to figure this out because we're gonna see very soon that we don't have an equal bezdin. We never have a possibility where you might get 35 and 35, right? We don't have a bezdin of 4 people or 2 people is not so clear, but we for sure don't have one. You always need to have an uneven amount. So it's interesting. What do Rabbi Yehuda hold? What's at the 70? What's gonna happen if it gets innocent and guilty is 35-35? How does he deal with that? That's just my own questions, but food for thought. How we're gonna figure that out? Maybe the Gemara's gonna talk about it. So, okay, how do I know that a small bezdin is comprised of 23? Okay, so here we need a little bit mathematical work to go. Ready? So Shenemar, it says in the Torah V'shaftu Eda. There's something called an Eda, a congregation, a group. We don't know what that is yet. However, Shaftu Eda, you have to be able to judge them. V'hitzilu ha'eda, and you have to have enough people to judge them and to save them. Now, you need to have an Eda Shofetes, the Eda Matzelas. You have to have an Eda which is going to judge and an Eda which is going to save. Says the Mishnah, makes an assumption. It's going to ask on this in a second. Harei Kan Esrim. It takes on, for sure, Eda means 10. So therefore, you have to have an Eda which is going to judge, an Eda which could save them, right? So if 10 come out guilty, you need at least 10 more that can come out innocent. Okay, we'll see. That's not going to save them. It's only 20. So that's 20. Harei Kan Esrim. Okay, now, parenthetically, who told you an Eda is 10 people? Uminayin le'Eda she asara shenemar. It says by the Meraglim. We know we had 12 spies who went out to Israel. 10 came back with bad reports, and Yeshua and Kollel came back with good reports. So there the verse says, Ad Masai la'Eda hara hazos. How long for this evil group, this evil Eda? So what's Eda there? It means 10 people. Okay. Yatsu Yeshua and Kollel, and excluding Yeshua and Kollel. So you now know that Eda is 10. Okay, that gets only 20 though. We need 23. Umenayin lahavi od shlosha. How do you know you need another 3 people? Okay, now here we're going to take one verse in the Torah and totally tear it apart. so the beauty of the oral Torah. Shenemar, as it says, Lo tihiyeh achrei rabim l'raos. It says that you cannot go after the majority who came out that somebody is guilty. So lo tiyeh achet rabim l'raos. So now, when it comes to if it sounds like from the verse, if rove people, if majority of people obligate the person, don't go after them. Okay, sounds like from there that if majority want to say a guy's innocent, then you do go after them, right? The implication is if majority of the court ruled guilty, don't follow them. Sounds like if the majority, you're allowed to go after, meaning it would seem like you need everyone to say he's guilty. If the majority says he's guilty, don't follow them. Okay, we'll see what that means. See what that means in a second. The implication is, but if any majority will make a guy innocent, so then you do go after them. So lo ti'acharab lavraos, from that part of the verse, shomea ani, I hear, she'ehya imahem letova, that when it comes to making someone innocent, you have a green light to go after the majority. If that's true, why did the verse have to repeat an obviously implied statement? Lama nemar achrei rabim lahatos. After a majority, to make someone innocent, you can tilt. How does to tilt? But you can go after a majority to make someone innocent. So this is our contradiction. We have a part of the verse that's clearly implied and then restated. So why does it restate it? For the following. It's all to get back to how we get 3. From 20 we know we need to get 3. Lo katiyascha letova hatiyascha l'raha. The way, it's just telling you one thing. The way you're going to make someone innocent is not the way you're going to make him guilty. So hatiyascha letova is al pi echad. Hatiyascha l'ra al pi shnayim. When you're making somebody innocent, as long as the scales are tilted with one person, that's enough to make a guy innocent. When you want to make someone guilty, you need at least 2 people. So right now we have 20 people, Ada and Ada, that's 20. Now, to make someone guilty, you need at least 2. So that's going to get us that, it'll get us, 12 against 10. That's enough to already make someone guilty. The minimal is 2. What's the problem though? That's an even bezdin. Turning the page. The ain bezdin shakel, and a bezdin can't be equal because you can't have, it's going to be 11 and 11. It's not going to work. So what do? Mosiv and alam od echad. You add one more. Harei kan esrim v'shlosha. Therefore, how you get 23? Once again, this idea of a bezdin can't be equal. You have to know what to do with Rabbi Yehuda, who says you have 70 in the Sanhedrin Gdola. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, fine. So you cannot have an even bezdin. Therefore, you're going to have 23. Now, yeah. 1 second. Will you ever have 2 people making someone guilty? You have 10 and 10, and then let's say you can have, right? It's never going to work, right? This is Rashi's bothered by this. That the Gemara wasn't asked.
Because what happens? Yeah.
How are you going to have 2 more making someone guilty? You have 10 and 10, it's equal. Now you're going to have, and you have 23 people total. So what's going to happen? You're going to have 12 and 11.
How is it any different than having 21?
Exactly. So that's what Rashi asks. Very good. Rashi asks and says the Gemara on Yud Zayin is going to ask that question. Yeah, very good. So, so how do we solve the problem by having 23? You're still, if the verse is telling you to make someone guilty, you need to have at least 2. How's that going to work over here? Okay, so good question. The kama yehei ir. Now, how many people do you need in a city? The tehei re'uyah Sanhedrin that are going to be fit to put a Sanhedrin there. So how many people do you need to put a Sanhedrin there? I believe it's referring to a Sanhedrin Ketana, 23, not a Sanhedrin Gedola. That's only in Yerushalayim. That's all going to be in the Lishkas HaGazis next to, right, in the Beis HaMikdash. But that's what it means. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah. Everyone sings about Torah. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah. What does it mean? From Zion will come out Torah. So simply we understand it means because a lot of people learn in Yerushalayim. No, it means because the Sanhedrin who makes the laws is situated over there by the Beis HaMikdash. So now, how many people do you need to have a court of 23? The Gemara is going to explain both these opinions. You need Meya ve'esrim, either you need 120 people. That's enough to get you a court of 23. Rabbi Nechemiah says no. You need to have that each judge could have 10 people under him. he learns that from the Torah, that you need Masai and Vishlosh. You need 230 people, Keneged Saria Saros, because we have in the Chumash such a thing that a ruler is by definition over 10 people. So that's what you have to have. If you have 23 rulers, you have to have 230 people.
Right. Did you have to check your email recently?
I did. Thank you. I was gonna think you have to.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
wonder if you got. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So it's don't
I
worry.
was getting nervous.
Yeah. Don't be nervous. So unless you're at a court in front of 23 people, then you should get a little nervous. So okay. Now repetition in the Mishnah. It said Dine Mamanos B'Shlosha, and then it said Gzelos Chavalos. Monetary law is with 3, and then it spoke out that stealing and hurting is with 3. So it says the Gemara. What does that mean? Atu Gzelos Chavalos Lav Dine Mamanos. Then who? Stealing and injuring is not 3 people. I mean, sorry, it's not monetary. You go and you steal someone's wallet. Yes, that's a monetary case. So what does that mean? So now, this is going to be our discussion for a while. Amar Rabbi Abahu. No, what it means is, read the Mishnah like this. We're going to go back on this on Gilam Aleph. But Amar Rabbi Abahu, what it means is, it's explaining. Dine mamanos b'shlosha mahen. What are dine mamanos? Dine mamanos are gzelos v'chavalos. So the Mishnah here is explaining for you what are monetary cases. They are gzelos v'chavalos. So that's the first opinion, Rabbi Abahu. Mahain Ketani. It's teaching you in the Mahain format. Sometimes you have words that are just a setup for what's coming, or sometimes not. In this case, the beginning is a setup. It's a headline. You know, it's a caption. Dina Mamanos Shlosha. What are those? Stealing and injuring. Aval. What's it coming to exclude? Hodaos v'halvaos. So hodaos, Rashi explains, it means that you come in front of witness and you say, I owe somebody money, or sorry, that's halvos. Hodos is when you are that witnesses come and say that, you know, in front of us he admitted that he owes money. Oh yeah, and halvos says that he admitted that he owes somebody money, he borrowed money, and the other person denies it. They say he owes money. They say he admitted to owing money. He borrowed money. Other guy denies it. That court case is hodas v'alvos, and that's not in our Mishnah. Says the Gemara, aval hodas v'alvos lo. So it sounds like only gzelos v'chavalos are with 3, aval hodas v'alvos lo. But hodos and alvos are not going to be with 3 people. Well, that's not what our Mishnah is talking about. Yeah, or that's not what our Mishnah is talking about. So says the Gemara, I need to tell you gzelos v'chavalos is what our Mishnah is talking about. So you shouldn't think it's also going to be hodos v'alvos. The itana dine mamanos. If you only taught dine mamanos and nothing else, and you didn't explain what that was, hava mina, I would have thought dafilu hodos v'halvos. It's even including admission or borrowing. Therefore, tana gzelos v'chavalos. Therefore, we taught gzelos v'chavalos. We taught the cases. We specified robbery and injury. Specifically, those cases are our Mishnah, and not hodas v'halvos. Tana, if you would have just said the second statement, gzelos v'chavalos, and you didn't say dine mamanos, what would you have thought? Tana gzelos v'chavalos v'lokat dine mamanos havamina hu adin dafil hodas v'halvos. I would have thought that it's even referring to hodas v'halvos, just injury and stealing. Were just an example that we chose, but of course we include borrowing and the case of admission where you admit to owing somebody money. So why would you have thought? So then, if that's true, it's referring to all 4 categories in this would have been world that you would have, if it only had gzelos v'chavalos, you would have thought it referred to all 4 categories. Then in that world, why did the Mishnah specify gzelos v'chavalos? Why? Because mishum the ikar shlosha the ksivi is b'gzelos v'chavalos ksivi. The reason why the Mishnah then in this world, which we're coming to say not like that, but where if it would only taught gzelos v'chavalos, robbery and injury, you would have mistakenly thought it's referring to also admission and borrowing. The reason why it's specified gzelos v'chavalos is because it's in that parsha, it's in that part of the Torah that it talks about 3 judges. That you bring the person to the judge. Elohim in the Torah is referring to often referring to judges. Therefore, you are allowed to say it. It's referring to God. Therefore, you're not allowed to say it. But they say, why is a judge called Elohim? To remind them that really only Hashem could judge. But you have permission for this case. But in general, you can't walk around judging people. Okay. Anyways, so that's that. So v'nikra balabayis el Elohim. So that's all by gzelos, by stealing. In that parsha, it says 3 times the word Elohim, teaching us that you need 3 judges. That's the source. So now, that's by stealing. How about by harming, by punching somebody? So why is that there? Chavalos is because mali chaval begufo, mali chaval b'mamono. That's also a form of injuring. One is you injured the guy's wallet. One is you gave him a black and blue mark. So those would have gone together. Tana, that's why the Mishnah taught, don't think it's referring to all 4 categories. It's really mahen dine mamanos. That's why it said mahen dine mamanos. Gzelos chavalos aval hodos halvos lo. It's referring to only gzelos chavalos, but hodos and halvos is not what our Mishnah is talking. We're going to ask on this in a second. So what hodos and halvos? These cases don't require 3 people. Okay, hold on. So okay, now ulamai. For what reason did we exclude hodos and halvos? That once again, Rashi explains at least that hodah is a guy admitted. A guy comes and says admitted, and witnesses say he admitted that he owes somebody money, and in front of us, and he's going to deny it, and it's a whole court case. Versus or halva, at the end of the day, I owe money to somebody, and a person denies it, and then there's a whole court case. So, yeah, okay. So now, ulamai. For what reason are we not including hodos ve'halvos in our Mishnah? Ilema delobin and shlosha. If you want to tell me, because simply you'll say only these people require 3 judges, stealing and injuring. However, monetary, where you admit that you owe money to somebody in front of witnesses said that you came and admitted in front of them, and you deny that, that court case does not need 3. That can't be. Why? Rabbi Abo is saying a general statement, it sounds like, that any kind of monetary matter, 2 people cannot judge. Rather, you need 3 people. And at least in Rabbi Abo's statement, we have no reason to assume that dine mamanos refers to specifically injuring or stealing. In our Mishnah, we said dine mamanos is a headline. It's referring to really stealing and injuring. But Rabbi Abo had an independent statement that over there, there's no reason to assume he only meant injuring or stealing. So that means that, and it sounds like this is agreed upon by everybody. We didn't find someone who argues on this. Everyone agrees anything to do with money takes 3 people. If that's true, why did our Mishnah, according to this interpretation of interesting, Rabbi Abo, interesting, same person, both places, okay. Rabbi Abo, according to him, why did our Mishnah specify only zelos v'chavalos? So maybe you'll say like this, there's a difference. Certain cases need 3 experts, certain cases need 3 regular people. So Ella delo ba'inan mumchin, really only zelos v'chavalos, stealing and injuring, requires experts, but the other cases, the monetary cases, do not require experts. Now, that's our proposition. Let's go. Why would you say that? Why would you say you make a difference between injuring, stealing, and admission? Why would one need experts and one doesn't? So now, Ma'ika Savar, what's the logic behind this? So now, there's something called Eruv Parshios. Sometimes we know we have in the Chumash things that really don't fit. So, for example, the source we know there's something called Modeh B'Miktas. When someone says, Jules, you owe me $100, and I say, and you go, no, I paid you 70, right? So that's a partial admission. So on that, you have to swear that you only owe 70. The biblical swear called Modeh B'Miktas. The verse of Ki Huzeh that we learn that out from is in the section of the Torah that deals with something called a Shomer Chinam. A Shomer Chinam is someone who watched something for free. Hey, can you watch my phone for me for free? You're called a Shomer Chinam. A Shomer Chinam doesn't have any partial admission swear. So it must be that the verse Ki Huzeh is referring to another part of the Torah. Happens to be the part that's right next to that part of the Torah. It's not like totally different, but it's that's called Eruv. Eruv means to mix together. Eruv Parshios. So you have one verse which is really out of place. You're mixing it, so to speak, into another section of the Torah. So now, Ma'ika Savar, what do you hold? Ikasavar Eruv Parshios Kasav Khan. If you're saying that really you're going with this Eruv Parshios, and therefore the psukim of injuring and harming somebody, where it says Elohim, which you just had, if you want to tell me that that's going to apply, you're going to apply that also to the parsha of admission. So then you should follow all the same rules. Then liboi nami mumchin. Then it says Elohim. Elohim is going to be referring to an expert. You should require experts even by cases of admission, all monetary cases. V'ika savar ein erev parshas kasav kan. And if you want to tell me that we're not mixing any parshas at all, then you have no reason to assume that you even need 3 people. Shlosh shalamali. Then there's no source that you need 3 people. So, yeah. So where do you get this split where you need 3 people, but not any experts? So says the Gemara La'olam Kasavar Erev Parshas Kasav Kan. Really, this is a case of Erev Parshas where things are out of order, they're out of place, and therefore even by the parsha of admitting, meaning admission, the parsha of admission is under the verse of Ki Hu Zeh. Ki Hu Zeh is the source where when you admit partially to something, we'll call it the section of admissions. That section is out of place. So in that section, it says Elohim 3 times. So if that section, it's out of place. So if it's referring to something else, it's Eruv Parshias. So then it'll apply to another section. In that section, it's going to say Elohim 3 times. That's why you need 3 people. So La'olam Kasavar Eruv Parshias Kasav Kan. You're right. You really do mix the parshas together, so to speak. It's out of place. It's going to apply to the other parsha, which requires 3 people. Now, if it requires 3 people, so then you should need also experts, because the same place that you know the source of 3 judges is Elohim. Elohim is also the source that you have to have 3 experts. So you need 3 people by the admission cases. So you should also need 3 experts, because what you're saying is the parsha of Ki Hu Zeh of admission, we're taking it out of context because it doesn't fit where it belongs, and putting it into this parsha where you need where when you judge you have to have 3 judges. Well, then whenever you have a case of admission, when you admit to owing money to somebody, or witnesses say you admitted to owing money and you deny it, you should need 3 experts to judge that case. So really, you're right. Really, we do need 3 experts in monetary judgment.
So they have to be.
Can I pull you 3 off the tree right now and judge my case?
No, but you're saying experts in biblical law,
Experts in monetary law.
monetary.
Yeah.
So they have to be experts in.
Yeah, we're gonna see. It could be that they have to get smicha. It could be, a higher level. Yeah. Good question. What's meaning? Saying what makes somebody a mumcha?
Yeah.
You had to get that status. Yeah. Good question. So v'hai delo ba'inan mumchin. Really, you need 3, and you need experts, high level people, either people that got a title of expert, a title of rabbi. Yeah. So mishum de Rabbi Chanina, we're really going to follow Rabbi Chanina's logic. Now, Rabbi Chanina has said something in another place. We're going to use his logic and apply it over here. What did he say? The Amar Rabbi Chanina, Devar Torah, biblically, echad dinei mamanos, ve'echad dinei nefashos, monetary laws and capital punishment really has to require very intense drisha u chakira. You have to investigate and interrogate the witnesses very, very well. However, how do I know? They're both the same thing. Both have the same laws. Shenamar, the verse says, Mishpat echad yelachem. It's one law. Capital punishment and monetary punishment is one law. Mishpat echad yelachem. Okay, so we don't find that by monetary law, you all of a sudden require the witnesses to go through the same interrogation process as witnesses by capital punishment. By capital punishment, you put them in different rooms, and it's a whole process, which we're going to see in a few prakim from now. But by monetary cases, 2 witnesses come and say he owes money. You don't ask all this interrogation. Why not? Really, they should have the same law biblically. Mishpat echad should be one law for both. What's going to happen? I'm never going to lend money to anybody, because every time I lend money and you deny it, and I need to bring 2 witnesses, and they have to go through a whole interrogation process, just to come out that they both said the same thing and they have to come out exactly saying the same things. So then I'm never going to lend money because I'm not risking I'm going to lend money. I need to find witnesses. You're going to put them in separate rooms. They're going to have to get their details exactly right. So that's too hard. And because once again, we need society to function economically, we need people to lend money. That's just how it has to work. Therefore, when it comes to monetary cases, we do not require drisha v'chakira. This intense, which we're going to see, I think the third parak, second parak, I think third parak, definitely intense level of interrogation. So now, so too by us, therefore we don't require 3 experts by every monetary case. Because every time I get into a fight with you about money, we're going to have to find 3 experts. That's going to be very hard to do, and that's going to prevent a lot of monetary things from happening. So Rashi says maybe you won't find experts, and then what's going to happen? So therefore we do not require experts for that case. Elamayat, if that's true, that you don't require experts, so then when they make a mistake, when you don't require experts, so now these people who are like experts, they're not experts, but since we require experts, we're going to view regular 3 people like experts. Therefore, if they make a mistake, then they shouldn't have to pay. Tolo Yishamu. Just like experts don't need to pay, these people who are now your new experts, even though they're regular people, they also shouldn't have to pay. So it says if that's true, then Kol Shekenat Noel Delos Bifnei Lovin. Then for sure you're going to close the door before anybody who's going to lend any money, because if you don't require the judge to pay when he makes a mistake, so then no one's going to lend money, because even when they get regular judges, if the judges won't take responsibility for the case, so therefore they're not going to ever lend money. Just last thing, food for thought. I don't know why the Gemara assumed that these 3 non-experts are treated as experts, and therefore we have a question that they shouldn't have to pay. I'm not sure exactly why I make that assumption. We will continue tomorrow.